So far in the book of Exodus, we found out that God is faithful to keep his promises. We've learned that he's powerful enough to keep his promises. We've learned that he is thoroughly aware. Remember in 2:24, he said that he had heard and looked and acknowledged the Israelites in their condition. 3:7, he'd seen and heard, and he knows what's going on with the Israelites in the midst of their bondage. 3:9, he says, their cry has come to me, and I have seen their oppression. So he's thoroughly aware. He's also, we found in chapter 3, verse 16, present and actively involved to deliver. Okay, so here's the next question I have. With all of that information, faithful, powerful, aware, actively involved, he visits us, he's on the scene. What would you expect if you had known all of that stuff and you had been an Israelite? Let's say you got the inside information. God is being faithful. God is powerful. He is aware. He's actively involved. What are you expecting as far as his deliverance? So would you expect for God's big plan of deliverance to begin with a stranger in a foreign land? That's who Moses was. Would you expect God's big plan for deliverance to begin with a shepherd, again, in a foreign land? Okay, how about the remote part of that foreign land? Moses was in the back of the desert of Midian when God appeared to him at the burning bush. Would you expect God to use someone that is guilty of murder? Would you expect God's big plan of deliverance to begin with someone that was reluctant to lead? I put all of that stuff on the table. Moses puts all of that stuff on the table in front of us. It teaches me this, that God's plan for deliverance rarely, if ever, matches my expectations. I'm thinking Superman. I'm thinking, swoop in, snatch up, be gone. Exodus teaches us that God's plan was multi-purposed. It was bigger. It was higher. It was more complex than we could imagine. We know that he intended by the end of chapter 3 that the Israelites would plunder the Egyptians. Thus, this elaborate plan. We know from chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, that part of God's purpose in this big elaborate plan that's so surprising is that Moses would know him better. That the Israelites would know him better. That's chapter 6, verse 7. That the Egyptians would know him. Chapter 7, verse 5. That even Pharaoh would know who he was. Chapter 7, verse 17. Chapter 9, verse 16 tells us that part of God's purpose in this big, elaborate, surprising plan was that the whole world would know him and glorify him. Chapter 10, verse 2 reveals that part of God's purpose is that future generations would know him, who he is, how he operates, just how big he is, just how powerful he is. Okay, so he's faithful, He's powerful. He's aware. He is present and actively involved. Chapter 3, verse 16. And now we find out that his plans are pretty complex. They are far-reaching, even to other generations. They are bigger than ours. They are higher than ours. So what he did there in the book of Exodus, it helps me wait for him here in Kingsland. You and I both want him to swoop in, come through the front door. But the book of Exodus suggests that his plan might just be bigger. And it just might be better. I hope you have a good day. Take care.